This session is jam-packed with examples and practical takeaways. He's American, he's going to go fast, so strap in and let's welcome him to the stage.
All right, I've been given a time limit, so fair warning, I have a lot to get through. So thank you for joining us for this session. My name is Julio Lopez, and I'm Mobile Building Strategy Vice President overseeing the retail vertical. Definitely very excited to be here to talk about how personalization can drive performance in today's, let's call it challenging retail market. As some of you know, my team is composed of former brand-side marketers who have led email and mobile programs at brands like Sephora and Amazon. And so having been in the trenches, we understand firsthand the challenges and complexities that come from both being on the brand side and also being on the MarTech side. In addition to that, we work very closely with a lot of the brands at Think Summit. And so what I want to do today is provide you some of our collective insights into how to navigate the current landscape effectively. So the fact is, retailers are facing an extremely, extremely challenging landscape. And really, it's a combination of challenges we've been experiencing over the last few years, as well as net new additions that we've got to grapple with. As these headlines show, conveying value, driving engagement, and leaning into personalization continue to be key themes. But it's become more challenging for us to achieve our goals when the channels that we operate in, mostly email and mobile, are overwhelming our customers, resulting in declining engagement. Even our loyalty programs are facing increased scrutiny as consumer expectations evolve. So now we're nearing peak season, and it's very clear that we've battled some big challenges, and it hasn't gotten easier. There's increased volatility at major retailers due to growing consumer anxiety around inflation, national insurance hikes, and global political shifts. Then we've had some more unexpected news from our friends at Big Tech with iOS 18.2, iOS 26, Gmail's managed subscriptions feature, which, by the way, if you want to learn more about that, I'm having a session at around 1:45 p.m. this afternoon. And at the forefront of all of this is the ways in which we engage with, adopt, and scale AI initiatives and separate the hype from the reality. So it's very clear that these changes are going to have a direct impact in our marketing strategies. So how do we adapt to stay ahead? That's the million-pound question that we're going to answer. And the short of it is that it isn't about more complexity, it's about more clarity. As we say in the States, this isn't our first rodeo, it just looks different. Each brand here has a toolkit of personalization strategies, and what we want you to walk away with are ways to repackage and intelligently leverage the tools that are already at your disposal. So among the tools in your toolkit that we're going to discuss today are these 4 topics. Channel-oriented personalization, so put differently, how do we use each channel in the optimal way? Data collection and activation, these are going to be the core pillars of any effective strategy. Leaning into loyalty, but doing so in a way that is valuable and engaging. And finally, agility planning, which may not sound like a personalization strategy, but it is what's going to prevent you from having to send one-size-fits-all messages. So let's jump in. When it comes to optimizing across different channels, it's not just about being present across multiple platforms. It's about delivering the right message through the right channel and doing so in a way that activates the unique power of that channel. So consider this. 73% of consumers prefer shopping through multiple channels, indicating a desire for flexibility and convenience in the path to purchase. And consumers who shop across multiple channels have a 30% higher lifetime value, with a 2.4x higher likelihood to buy when they receive both an email and an SMS. So it's no surprise that these customers expect companies to come to them with deals and incentives and relevant information and to reach them when it's the most convenient. And we do see the brands that we work with already doing this. So what I'm going to do today is showcase a mix of brands. I am going to be skewing a little bit more American for the reason being that Americans send a lot of email to their consumers, and they're still getting significantly great results. So one example comes to us from Levi's. This example also exemplifies a core power of the in-app experience that we work so hard to build. For someone to open the app, it tells us that they're already engaged. And so we just need to give them a little bit of a nudge to get them to convert. So Levi's leveraged Movable Ink Studio to power a countdown timer in their in-app messages, increasing excitement and urgency for the limited time offers that they were giving to their customers. As you can expect, this resulted in a significant lift in engagement. It felt exclusive because it was only offered to those customers who had the app. Now, many of you have used this strategy in email, and so this is just a newer way to elevate that strategy. And speaking of elevating strategies, every brand here likely has a cart abandon email. HSN, an American brand, built on that, and they drove engagement and conversions by launching a dynamic cart abandon rich push notification that updates for every single individual. And what I like about this strategy is that it exemplifies how rich push can naturally sit at the intersection of the immediacy of mobile and the way that we've historically approached trigger messaging. And while it's not shown here, there's different ways that these use cases can be updated, whether that be adding live inventory or real-time pricing or even social proof to drive urgency. And because all of this is based on one-to-one consumer behaviors, each of the 300,000 cents in this specific test were personalized to every single individual. That's 300,000 different versions of this message. And of course, all roads lead back to email because this is Think Summit. Now, the core strength of email is that it's excellent for detailed content and storytelling, providing a great canvas for multiple personalized zones that are going to drive discovery as well as reinforcement. Asda did just this. As part of their loyalty program strategy, their mobile messages were focused on specific actions such as progress bars for rewards missions. But in email, Asda took advantage of the channel's flexibility, and they included multiple personalized blocks like product recommendations. And this kind of showcased how the different channels can come together and be complementary to one another. And the results speak for themselves. They saw an 18% lift in click-through rate. So to some of the ideas in this first section, it's very clear to us that effective channel-oriented personalization requires us as marketers to understand the unique strengths of each channel, deliver tailored content that aligns with the customer expectations of that channel, and integrate data across channels for us to deliver those seamless customer experiences. So by focusing on these strategies, retailers can enhance customer engagement, drive higher conversions, and increase loyalty. But no brand can deliver those personalized experiences without data. It's going to be the backbone of any effective strategy. And it's business critical. 45% of consumers say they're likely to take their business elsewhere if a brand fails to deliver a personalized experience. And yet, 75% of businesses have trouble doing so due to data silos and outdated infrastructures. But I find that the data often exists. It just needs to be activated. Data like past purchases or browse behaviors, which, by the way, 78% of consumers want to be used in communications, is generally available and on hand. This is an example from Macy's. Based on past purchase behavior and recent browse behavior, they're able to place customers easily into different niche segments. So for example, instead of sending one broad home campaign, they're able to activate that niche segment data and dynamically pull in content for different subsets of home. So as you can see in these visuals, they're able to target more granularly to segments like bedding and kitchen. And just as important, this is all automated. So they can create these different segmented versions with no extra creative work and still sending one single email deployment. Again, great results here with a 34% lift in conversion rate. And what I like about that Macy's example is that they're using what's already in their toolkit. Another data point that the retailers in the room have, or most of us have, is prices. And just this one data point can really elevate the customer experience. Claire's includes their personalized product recommendations, and they're able to showcase real-time pricing in an automated way. So in doing this, not only is there an efficiency win for the brand, but the customer will now have a unified experience from email to website, thereby reducing friction in that path to purchase. So again, as expected, great results here with a 43% lift in conversion rate. And when it comes to data activation, the basics really work. And that's simply activating real-time mobile app and website behaviors. So Tiffany's uses real-time data and website behaviors to showcase these evergreen abandoned cart and abandoned browse banners, that's a mouthful, to any user that has taken a recent action on the site. So this allows for any batch message to include one-to-one personalization, but also it creates this connective tissue between your batch program and your trigger messages. And they saw a 28% lift in revenue, which frankly is not uncommon for the brand to employ this strategy. So bringing it back to the toolkit analogy, data is something that you do already have. It's simply a matter of activating it in the right way. And it doesn't have to be every single data point, just as long as what you activate is high quality and it's made relevant to the customer. And if you simply lean into the tried and true strategies like real-time behavioral data, you really can't go wrong. So again, you'll hear me say this multiple times, by leaning and focusing on these strategies, retailers can enhance the customer experience, drive higher conversions, and increase loyalty. So let's pivot into that loyalty topic a bit. There's a real need for brands to rethink how they approach their programs. It really isn't about points, but how the program mechanic complements each other to drive personalization and meaningful interactions. The programs themselves are still very, very important. There was a 28% increase in program adoption last year, but it's also clear that programs alone are not enough. 74% of shoppers switched brands last year. And all that these customers want from these programs is that they be personalized. In a recent survey, personalization actually ranked higher than expectations for discounts. But the two do go hand in hand. Personalization and discounts can and should be used together for optimal impact and effectiveness. So take, for example, Faraday, one of my favorite brands, also a fast-growing brand in the US. They opened about 72 new stores in the last year and a half. So they celebrate member birthdays by highlighting the loyalty tier, and they pull in personalized promo codes based on program participation. They also pull in name personalization, which at this point is table stakes. But what they achieve as a whole is a message that delivers value into the customer's inbox, both financial and emotional as a result of the recognition of this individual's milestone. And this resonated really well with customers, as you can see by the 21% lift in conversion rate. Also, the mechanism by which we deliver the messaging also has a significant impact on engagement. Lenovo amplified their surprise and delight loyalty offer with a scratch to reveal experience. In what would otherwise be a static editorial asset, they instead chose to bring in gamification to drive engagement. Additionally, they were able to create differentiated experiences for their Lenovo Pro versus My Lenovo Rewards members. Again, really, really strong performance here with a 15% lift in click-through rate, which for them was much, much higher than their averages. But most importantly, brands need to remind customers of the value of active program participation. And from the perspective of a loyalty program, it often comes down to loyalty statements. Bath & Body Works highlights program value in a monthly statement. So each section of this email is highly dynamic, which is an efficiency win for the brand. But more importantly, this was a highly intentional touch point that is made relevant to the customer, and it underscores the value of active program participation. This touch point was not meant to drive revenue, but it did drive an 8% lift in first-time rewards redemptions, which reduces breakage and removes that from our balance sheets. So again, bringing it back to the toolkit analogy, as brands are leaning into loyalty, they have to ensure that they do these three things: deliver value, but do so in a personalized context, provide differentiated experiences that allow them to stand out in the inbox, and not forget to showcase to members the value of active program participation. Customers are seeking more personalized and meaningful interactions with the brands that they're shopping with. They want to feel valued. They want to feel understood, in addition to being rewarded for their purchases. So again, by focusing on these strategies, retailers can enhance customer engagement, drive higher conversions, and increase loyalty. Now, for our final section, I want to pivot a little bit more and talk about agility planning. So like I said, this may not sound like a personalization strategy, but it is what's going to prevent you from having to send one-size-fits-all messaging. If there's one thing that we've learned in the last few years is that predictability is a luxury. From supply chain disruptions to Gmail and iOS changes to economic pressures, we need strategies that are built to flex. Agility isn't just about reacting fast, it's planning for change before it happens. And for us, the email production process is already taking the lion's share of time on many teams, and the moment that anything needs to change, it's essentially chaos. And with business leaders feeling unprepared to deal with that chaos and that disruption, a lot of money is being left on the table as a result of low operational resilience. So we're going to walk through a couple of ways in which brands can stay responsive and personalized no matter what comes next. So we heard a little bit about the email calendar today. So for anyone who's managed the email calendar, one topic that is, of course, top of mind is going to be price, promos, and inventory. As these fluctuate, brands can't afford to send emails that are outdated the moment they hit the customer's inbox. Otherwise, we are just adding friction to the path to purchase. Instead, brands have to aim to show what's actually available even when planning factors are a moving target, and ensure that pricing and product descriptions reflect real-life site data. Wayfair does just that by providing clarity through simple yet eye-catching badging in their product recommendations. These badges highlight pricing, inventory, convenience, and confidence messages, and all of them work together to reinforce value and drive the customer to conversion. Again, another brand that was very successful with this goal with a 133% lift in revenue. In addition to price and inventory transparency, we also have to manage consumers' price sensitivity. As prices increase or as preferred products aren't available, your messaging needs to work harder. That means showcasing why the specific product that you're showcasing is worth buying. Ulta does just that, and they convey value in a few different ways. They remind customers that they get free shipping with their loyalty tier. They highlight the current offer, in this case 5x points on NARS. They do the math for the customer in real time based on the current price of the actual item being shown. And they convey value of that specific SKU through ratings and reviews. So all of this comes together to create this very compelling email as to why this product is still worth buying today. So again, no surprise, they saw a 34% lift in conversions. And the best approach that you can take to prepare for uncertainty is leaning into a modular approach to email design. With this approach, you're able to more quickly build emails by combining relevant, data-powered dynamic blocks that adjust in real time. This ability to move quickly is in and of itself a competitive advantage. Additionally, if these modules are connected to API data sources, then it ensures that the content is always the most up-to-date without requiring manual edits or intervention. Claire's realized the value of modularity very early on, and as you can see here, 75% of their email templates on average are dynamic movable ink modules. So, as we think about these 3 points that we just spoke about today, price and inventory volatility, price sensitivity, and modularity, there's one common theme across all of these. The more modules that you can power through your existing APIs, the more flexibility you are going to have to bob and to weave and ideally get ahead of the turbulent times that we can certainly expect. So our advice to you is to focus on connecting to as many APIs as possible right now in order to give yourself the flexibility that you'll need to maneuver the ongoing volatility. And that's actually my very first key action item for all of you. For APIs, meet with your tech team to review the different options that are available to you to connect to as much live data as possible. But as I said, there is data that is likely already at your fingertips. So take inventory of that data, which may require little to no dev work, and ideate on ways to use it. You should also audit your current personalization modules and identify ways to improve your templates to allow for more flexibility so you can react more quickly to those necessary last-minute changes. And then finally, when in doubt, you have a dedicated client experience team here at Movable Ink, as well as my strategy team, and you can lean on us for guidance and support. So I know that was a lot for 20 minutes, and this thing is yelling at me. So here's what I hope you've learned from this session. These personalization strategies are already in your toolbox. And if you're waiting for the right conditions to deploy them, then you're already behind. The reason I chose the title Unprecedented Times, Precedented Solutions for this session is because personalization isn't about perfection. It's about taking action and using the tools at your disposal. It's simply strategy executed well. And at the end of the day, your competitors are reading the same exact headlines as you and facing the same exact headwinds. It's how you employ your toolkit that matters. So that brings us to time. If you found any of the strategies shared today particularly interesting or thought-provoking, let's connect. You can reach my team via retailstrategy@movableink.com. We know that the year ahead will be filled with net new challenges and underscore existing ones, so let's figure them out together. With that, I want to say thank you for listening to this presentation and enjoy the rest of Think Summit.